Greg Kelley was 17 years old in 2013 and a rising football star at Leander High School in Texas. He was a good student who already had a full scholarship to play football for the University of Texas in San Antonio. His coaches believed he had potential for a professional career. He played as a defensive back, known for his athleticism, speed, and competitive drive. He maintained strong grades and was respected by peers and teachers. His future appeared bright. Kelley's parents both had serious medical problems. During part of his junior year, he stayed with the McCarty family. His friend, Jonathan McCarty, was a look-alike teammate whose parents, Shama and Ralph, ran a daycare out of their home. Kelley lived there for a portion of the school year before moving out. On July 13, 2013, about 4 weeks after Kelley had left the McCarty family home, a 4-year-old boy who attended the daycare told his mother he had been sexually assaulted there. The child made allegations against Kelley. Kelley was arrested on campus at Leander High School where he was a student. He was 18 years old at the time of his arrest. A second 4-year-old boy came forward with allegations of assault. The Cedar Park Police Department investigation was led by Detective Chris Daly. The investigation had significant problems from the start. Daly never visited the McCarty home where the alleged assaults took place. He never compared the crime scene to the descriptions given by the children. The child described a bedroom that matched Jonathan's bedroom, not Greg's. One of the children who knew both Kelley and McCarty had difficulty telling them apart. The two young men looked similar and both played football. The police refused to question Jonathan McCarty. They made Kelley the sole suspect, despite McCarty living in the same house where the assaults allegedly occurred. The lead detective never interviewed Kelley and admitted asking leading questions while interviewing the young boys. Evidence that could have pointed to other suspects was not pursued. Kelley's initial attorney was Patricia Cummings. Cummings had done legal work for the family of the man who eventually admitted to the crime for which Kelley was accused and convicted. Her defense strategy was to claim the incidents never happened at all. She declined to present Jonathan McCarty as an alternate suspect. Kelley declined a plea deal that would have kept him out of prison. In July 2014, Kelley was convicted by a jury of 2 counts of super-aggravated sexual assault of one boy. He accepted a sentencing deal in which he would spend a mandatory 25 years in prison. He maintained his innocence throughout. The child never properly identified Kelley in a photo as the perpetrator. One petition was denied in September 2014, and an appeal was denied in 2016. Kelley spent 3 years in prison. He was housed with the general population in maximum security facilities. The conviction for child sexual assault made him a target. Prison presented daily dangers and he faced constant threats. Support for Kelley began to build outside the prison walls. His girlfriend, Gabrielle Anderson, never wavered in her belief in his innocence. They had been together since grade school. Anderson said she was willing to wait 25 years for Greg to get out of jail to be with him, the Detroit News. Her father was Kelley high school football coach and also believed strongly in his innocence. A construction worker named Jake Bryden became aware of the case through news coverage. Bryden did not know Greg Kelley and didn't know much about the case initially. He recognized Kelley's former coach in news interviews and was moved by what he saw. Bryden called Kelley's mother and started raising awareness to have the case looked at again. He helped fund Kelley's legal defense through the appeals process and became a tireless advocate. In 2017, Kelley's new lawyer Keith Hampton filed a new petition claiming Kelley had received an inadequate legal defense in the first trial and that the lead detective conducted a faulty investigation. The petition named Jonathan McCarty as an alternate suspect. Williamson County District Attorney Sean Dick said he received credible evidence that prompted Texas Rangers to investigate the case. Texas Ranger Cody Mitchell conducted a fresh investigation. He found what Detective Daly had failed to uncover or ignored. Affidavits revealed that a child who knew both Kelley and McCarty had trouble telling them apart, and that McCarty told a second person that it was he who abused the boy. Multiple witnesses came forward stating McCarty had bragged about the sexual assault. The investigation also revealed problems with the timeline in the indictment. Authorities had incorrectly assumed when Kelley moved out of the McCarty home and backdated the offense from that incorrect date. Kelley's brother testified that Kelley was with him helping the family move on the day prosecutors believed the crime occurred. The dates in the original case did not align with the evidence. Kelley was released on bond in August 2017. He had spent 1,153 days in prison. A district court judge recommended the conviction be overturned in December 2017. The case then went through additional legal proceedings. On November 6, 2019, his conviction was officially overturned. He was found actually innocent. Multiple judges wrote that Kelley was an innocent man, not merely freed on technicalities. The court apologized for the systemic failure that led to his conviction. Jonathan McCarty was never charged in connection with the child sexual assault case. In an unrelated case, McCarty was sentenced to 4 years in prison after pleading guilty to unlawful restraint and drug charges. A girl had accused him of drugging and assaulting her at a frat party in 2015 when she was 15 and he was 18. Investigators found child pornography images on his phone and computer. Several women accused him of sexual assault. No one else has been prosecuted for the assault of the children at the daycare. The original child victim maintained under oath that Greg committed the assault, which presented challenges for any future prosecution. Kelley filed a civil lawsuit against the city of Cedar Park, the former police chief and the lead investigator. He received a $500,000 civil settlement from the city. He used part of the money to buy his mother a 1.3-acre piece of property in 2023. She had sold her home to fund his legal defense. In September 2020, Kelley received a full scholarship to play at Eastern Michigan University. He had not played football since his junior year of high school in 2013. He played in the Eagles spring game in April 2021, recording an interception, but transferred before playing a full season. Kelley married Gabrielle Anderson in 2019, with Jake Bryden officiating their wedding. The couple now has a daughter. Kelley founded the Vindication Foundation, a nonprofit organization to help others who have been wrongfully convicted. He runs ultramarathons to raise money for the foundation. The case was featured in a 5-part Showtime documentary series called Outcry that premiered in July 2020. The series examined the flawed investigation, the prosecution's tactics, and the community support that helped overturn Kelley's conviction. Kelley is finishing his degree at the University of Texas in kinesiology. He also runs an axe-throwing business called Tomahawk Targets, using woodworking skills he learned in prison. He continues his advocacy work for criminal justice reform and wrongfully convicted individuals.
On February 16, 1987, Gary Parks was a 48-year-old firefighter with 18 years of service in the Everett Fire Department. That morning, just after 3 o'clock, fire crews responded to a 3-alarm blaze at Everett Community College in Washington State. The fire was consuming the library building known as Cascade Hall. By the time firefighters arrived, walls and sections of roof had collapsed or were close to falling over. Thick smoke filled the building as crews entered with breathing equipment to battle the flames. Parks became separated from 5 other firefighters and became trapped inside the burning structure. He died from smoke inhalation. The fire destroyed the library, cafeteria, restaurant, student services offices, and student government offices. The blaze caused more than $8 million in damages and destroyed an estimated 48,000 books and 19,000 periodicals, including yearbooks and historical records. From the beginning, investigators suspected arson. The Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives responded to assist local investigators and determined the fire was intentionally set. Several young boys were identified as suspects at the time. Detectives believed the suspects entered the library through an open window and deliberately started the fire during a burglary, but they could not establish probable cause to make arrests. The case went cold. For nearly 3 decades, the death of Gary Parks remained unsolved. His widow Tathy and their 2 daughters, Erin and Jennifer, lived with unanswered questions. The Everett Fire Department never forgot. The memory of Parks became part of the department's culture, passed down through generations of firefighters. In 1988, the college constructed the Gary Parks Student Union building at the site of the destroyed library. A memorial was installed to honor the fallen firefighter. Years later, a scholarship was established in his name for students in the college's fire science program. The breakthrough came in 2016 when Detective Mike Atwood of the Everett Police Department took over the cold case. Atwood reviewed all the previous investigative work. He concluded there was a strong circumstantial case that the fire was set by the teens who had first come under suspicion years before. He began looking for new evidence and opportunities to interview the original suspects. In April 2017, Atwood was at the Snohomish County Jail to assist a federal agent in questioning a suspect in an explosives case. That suspect had already posted bail and left. While standing at the booking desk, Atwood recognized a man being processed. It was Elmer Nash Jr., who by then had become the top suspect in the Everett Community College arson. Nash spent much of his adult life behind bars. He had accumulated about a dozen adult felony convictions, mainly for drug and property crimes. He was 10 when he was first convicted of a felony, a burglary. Atwood seized the unexpected opportunity to interview Nash. The detective began talking about Gary Parks and his family. He spoke about one of the fallen firefighter's daughters and the void in her life from losing her father. Nash at first tried to deflect responsibility, claiming his partners in the break-in had set the fire. Atwood pressed him. A long time had passed. Many people were waiting for the truth. The Parks family, the firefighters who narrowly escaped death that night, the people who worked at the college, the investigators who had spent years on the case. The detective told Nash directly that he knew Nash started the fire. Something shifted in the conversation. Nash confessed. He admitted he was one of 3 boys who broke into the library that night as part of a burglary. He said he was the one who lit the match, in what he claimed was an attempt to hide their fingerprints. Nash asked the detective to tell the firefighter's daughter that he never meant to hurt her father. He said it was an accident, that he was 12 years old and being stupid, not thinking. Nash began to cry. It appeared he had been holding that in for a long time, Atwood later said. The April 2017 confession did not immediately close the case. Prosecutors told Everett police they needed more work. They needed to recover every detail lost to time and match it against the new information. The college no longer had a blueprint of the former library.
Records experts retrieved a copy from state archives. There were dozens of witnesses to track down and interview. Atwood interviewed everyone in the case who was still alive. The investigation documented statements from 7 people who said Nash had admitted setting the blaze to them over the years. Nash later agreed to recant his confession to Atwood. The ATF reopened its investigation in 2020, using new fire science technology to examine the original evidence. In March 2021, the Snohomish County Prosecutor's Office filed first-degree murder charges against Elmer Nash Jr. He was 46 years old. 34 years had passed since he set the fire as a 12-year-old boy. On March 25, 2021, Nash appeared in court and pleaded guilty. He was tried as an adult, despite having been a child when the crime occurred. Sentencing took place on May 13, 2021. Judge Eric Kurtz imposed a 10-year prison sentence, more than the prosecution and defense had recommended, but less than what some family members and friends of Gary Parks requested. The judge told Nash that most children learn early about 3 basic rules. You don't hit, you don't steal, you don't play with fire. The judge explained that case law required him to consider Nash's youth at the time of the crime, but his extensive criminal history as an adult and the seriousness of the offense also influenced the ruling. Kathy Parks addressed the court. She described her husband as a good man, a trusted partner and friend people could count on. He helped his daughters fix their cars, helped his wife put on her ski boots, and never missed a shift at the fire department. She expressed gratitude to the detectives who never gave up on the case. She acknowledged that her family would always suffer knowing Gary never got to meet his grandchildren or see his daughter's successes. The family had recently discovered old VHS tapes that had been transferred to DVD. For the first time in 34 years, Kathy and her daughters heard Gary's voice. The video showed him on his sailboat in the San Juan Islands, shucking oysters and smiling. After the sentencing, something unexpected happened. Kathy Parks embraced Carrie Johnson, the mother of Elmer Nash. The 2 grandmothers found a moment of shared humanity in the courthouse. Detective Atwood, who had worked the case for years, marveled at how it came together. He said there were a million little pieces that had to fall into line to reach that moment of resolution. Captain Gerard Erding, Atwood's supervisor and a former firefighter himself, said solving the case and bringing closure to the Parks family meant the world to him. Police Chief Dan Templeman praised the investigation, noting that detectives never wavered in their commitment to bring justice for the Parks family. The case stands as a reminder of the long reach of justice and the dedication of investigators who refuse to let cold cases remain unsolved. It also represents the devastating consequences of a single reckless act by a child who claimed he never intended to hurt anyone, whose actions resulted in the death of a man who spent his career saving others.